So I am already like 97% anxiety. And so I don't need a pandemic to be coming out of my skin. So when it first started being talked about, I think American white people are always like really slow to get nervous about anything. And so at the time I was working for the city, and a few of the events that I was scheduled for got canceled. So I was supposed to go to Cali to speak at a conference. They canceled that. I was supposed to go to Cleveland for my first art show. They canceled that. And then the city was like, okay, we're gonna go home on a Friday. And then I never went back. So that was really interesting to just like try to figure out how to stay calm. And then I feel like I was asleep for like the first 3 months of the pandemic. Like, I have no idea what happened from March to May of last year. And so by the time I woke up, it was like June. I think to be Black in America is to always be in a constant state of protest. And so a set of protests this summer is no different than a set of protests last summer, the summer before that, the protest of '64. Black people are always protesting, so that part didn't feel strange. What felt strange to me was watching white people be at home, realizing that a thing that had been happening was actually happening. Only privilege allows you to live in 2020 and not know what the fuck is happening in your neighborhood, city, state, country. And so that part was really strange to watch people both slow down their lives to watch these protests and feel really angry about these 8 minutes, when those 8 minutes look very much like the rest of the 8-minute segments of this country's history. But to be like locked in the house for it was scary. So like trying to make a decision. Do I want to go to a protest and possibly, get coronavirus? Do I want to not go? Will it matter if I go? Will this change anything? Will anything actually happen? And so I mostly stayed at home for safety reasons, and that feels like a never-ending choice to make. Like, if I leave this house, will I get sick? Will I get somebody sick? I think that that's the biggest thing that I have lost in all this is my sense of community. And so being able to go out and see people and be around the kids that I work with and being around my community has been taken. And so lots of my interactions are through Zoom and FaceTime and social media. And they're great. I love them. I loved them more when they were an option as opposed to the only way in which I could communicate. But there is nothing that is going to replace hugs or watching my friends dance on the dance floor or seeing my like nieces and nephew. There's nothing that's gonna replace like random hookups from Tinder. There's nothing that's gonna replace like going to Julian's on Broadway and like eating with my friends. So I think that we've done what we can to try to craft something different, but I had a really good life. I had a life that I loved. And so it is an interesting thing to try to recreate that in what feels like The Sims. Feels very much like The Sims out here. And I don't like video games. And so I'm having like a tough time. And I think that the longer it goes, the more that I'm like, okay, well, I will settle into this. I will get used to this. I will like figure out a way to ride this wave. And it will soon be March. And I feel like I still don't have a surfboard. And I'm like, it would be nice to have settled into something. I find myself still waiting to figure out like what's happening and what we're gonna do. It has not been without a fight to be here on February, what day is it? Who knows? Time is not even real in the pandemic, right? You just like keep showing up wherever. I know what time it is because on Sundays I still get sad. I still get the Sunday sads and birthdays, but otherwise time is like not real. And so I'm looking forward to when I can put things on my calendar that make time real again. And when my health is not so steeped in staying alive. I'm like excited to go back to like thriving. And so like that's my dream for the end of the pandemic. And I think that that's probably the last thing that I want to say.